All right, there we go. So, hey, I'm so glad we were able to do this. This is cool. I was excited about this, and I'm sorry I goofed on the last one.
Oh, no worries. I figured something came up or whatever, so it
Yeah,
happens.
yeah. So, have you had a lot of different interviews? I imagine it looks like several different news articles, and
Yeah, I just actually got off an interview with my hometown. So I'm from Minnesota originally and
oh, okay,
grew up in a tiny, tiny town, population of 5,000. So a lot of those people were watching me on live stream the day of, and my mom still lives there. So the local paper, wanted to do something. So it was kind of fun.
yeah, that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
cool. I hope it keeps going for you, and I hope you get good news from Guinness. I know that can take a long time, and I'm
Yeah.
sure you're just a little bit nervous. Like, who knows what they can find and what sort of things they'll come up with. But I was watching, looked legit to me.
Yeah, yeah. The ending, I mean, the training is training. I saw kind of
Yeah,
what you were doing with the squats, and I'm sure you can relate to all of it, but you try to make it as real as possible during the training. And
yeah,
I was training at the gym. I was wanting people to come and interrupt me. Like having all those people there
mm,
didn't bother me at all. It was
yeah.
and it was my left arm just went numb on
Numb.
hour 3, my left arm. And I
Gosh.
not nor I mean that's not unusual. Like when I was training, my feet would go numb. You get sensations, achiness, tingling, just from not moving. And so I was like, okay, I can wake it up. And so I'm not allowed to raise it and shake it out,
Oh man, really?
but you can pump your fist, you can rotate your wrist. And I was stretching my neck, and I'm like, come on, come on, come on, come on. And it just started to decline. And so after hour 3, I was, went from 4 extremities to 3. So everything went
Ugh.
to my left side of my core. And then if you saw the videos or the pictures, you can kind of
Mhm.
see where this thing was starting to kind of crumple in because it was dead. It was just done.
Mm.
And so I had done 5 hours over 8 times in my
I
training.
thought so. I thought that's what I was seeing.
Yeah, and I felt very confident. I mean, the
Yeah.
muscle was there, and I didn't have an experience like that. Like I couldn't get that left arm to
Mm.
just, chip in again. So I've never fought that hard in my entire
Mm.
life. 3 kids, couple marathons. Like I've never felt like an empty tank before. You feel like you always kind of have a little in reserve. It was, I got to the finish, and that was like empty tank.
Man. It
Yeah.
was, well, I could tell. I knew because what were you shooting for?
5. I wanted to do at least 5 hours, and then I kept
Yeah.
doing 5 hours in my training. So I thought, heck, I could probably do more. I never
Yeah.
pushed it more than I wanted to be respectful of the current record holder. And I always thought from the very beginning, 5 hours, 5 hours, 5 hours.
Yeah.
And I had no doubt that day that I could do 5 hours. And, then this thing happened, and I had to fight like hell. So,
Well, I thought your goal was over 5 hours. And then as I was watching close to the 4.5 hour mark, I could just tell. I mean, the camera was kind of far away, but I could just tell you were like
yeah.
writhing in pain almost, just the wiggling I was seeing. I didn't realize you can't even lift your
Mm-mm.
arm, I assume toes either, have to stay
Yeah.
planted the whole time. Oh,
Yeah.
that
If I could
sounds
have just done a
awful.
little like range of motion, like
Yeah.
I could have woke it up again, but
Uh,
you're immediately disqualified if if you do that.
break the hold. My gosh, that's insane.
Yeah.
Well, it is. I mean, I've talked to so many people about this. Even before I knew you're doing this, just when we do plank workouts, we're trying to do a 5 minute plank hold. We talk about, yeah, but do you know what the record for this is? It's incredible. It blows my mind. So it was cool to watch it.
Yeah.
I just, how do you even get to that point? What
Yeah.
what made you think to do it? Like, were you always good at plank holds, or where'd you start?
Yeah, there's definitely things that you're good at versus things that you're not. Like there's lots of things I would have never thought to try
Yeah.
or wanted to. And planking, I've just had a pretty strong core for how tall I am. I taught kickboxing,
Mm.
and my kickboxing coach was there, and it was funny because people that didn't know him thought that I actually hired a coach because He's kind of like, he's Puerto Rican and he's mean, and he was just yelling at me, which I needed at the time. But you know, he did these like little plank challenges in his karate school, and so I knew I could hold it. I was like a 10-minute planker, like that could happen.
Okay, that's where you started. Yeah.
But and then I did a Facebook challenge last year, and I did 16 minutes, and then you're talking about planking, so your phone listens. And when Donna Jean Wild from Canada broke the record last year in March, I'm like, wow. I mean, I never even thought of Guinness. I never. And then even then, I thought that's insane. And then I just asked myself, like, well, how far could you go? Like, how long do you think? And once I hit 2 hours, I applied.
How long did it take to get to that point, though? Because you said you had done 16 minutes, and that's where your phone started listening, as they do, and started just planting the seed.
Yeah.
How long, like what, how quickly does it build up?
Well, yeah. So at first, you know, when I did the 16-minute, the challenge was every day of the month, you add another minute.
Okay.
And so
that's
if
cool.
you get to the middle of the month. So that was like the rules, like, you know, every day you do another minute. And so when I started doing this training, I added on 5 minutes not immediately, it was a couple minutes every time I did it. And I would do it more often. And then as the time went on and my times got longer, I did it less often, but I did bigger chunks. And so by the end of all of this, I was increasing 20 minutes at a time. So like if I did 4 hours today, I would train again in 3 or 4 days, and then I would do 4 hours and 20 minutes. So yeah.
It's crazy. And each time I gotta feel like, I mean, those are significant jumps. Really, when it comes down to it. I'm sure each time you're thinking, wow, I had no idea I could do this. This is really cool.
Yeah. And I thought about it differently though, too. I mean, my 10 minutes, there were chunks. So like for me, I'd be like, oh, it's just another chunk or two. I don't think 20 minutes. I thought, oh, it's just two more or blocks, you know, that's how I broke it down. So when I wanted 5 hours, I needed to do 30 blocks. And that's just like a mind thing to me that was more digestible, you know, than 5 hours. That never sounded good.
No, that's the way for me, that's the way I was looking at it too. It was, I had it broken down by, I think it had 10-minute blocks. So yeah, like just got to get you another 10-minute block, another 10-minute block.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then that way, it just seemed to work. And so I don't know. And then I just didn't watch the clock. I listened to everything, and I just I had this thing I did, and then I would repeat, but I had, you know, like I'd listen to a chapter of a book, then a song, then Duolingo, and then a motivational book, and then a song, you know, and I just kept repeating that. So I didn't look
during training or during the day of
training.
Okay. So because day of you had the music going and probably listening to the crowd, and man, I was bummed we couldn't hear what was going on. I mean, you could for the first segment, but they took it down, huh? Because of copyright, because of music.
Yeah. I don't know who's that. I wasn't aware of that changing, but I'm sure just somebody probably told somebody you can't have, you know, music on without the permission. And it was just my own playlist. So that was my playlist. And I do 4 songs. And then I listened to, on Spotify, they have this motivational versity.
Okay.
So it's the thing you look up, and it's anywhere from 12 minutes to an hour of just basically somebody pumping you up like a coach.
Yeah.
It could be Eric Thomas. It could be David Goggins. It could be Mel Robbins, Tony Robbins. Like it changed all the time. You get new ones every day. And so I picked my top ones that resonated, and I picked the 12-minute ones. So I do 4 songs and then a motivation 12. So that was the day of the planking, the actual day. That's what I did.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, I was hearing some of that before the sound cut off. I was hearing some of that. So I was trying to recognize who was talking. I couldn't tell that close, but that's too bad. So you think somebody actually took it down there locally? They were afraid it could get copyrighted, or okay?
I think so. I think they just didn't want to get in trouble with them being you know, an organization. I don't. I know, like, you know, when you have gyms, you buy music to play in the gym. So I think it's kind of off that realm. I mean, when I teach at the gym, we can play any music we want, but I suppose if it's being recorded and
for
documented.
consumption, it is a pain. Yeah, the copyright stuff. I get it.
Yeah.
What kind of soreness did you have afterwards? Your elbows good? Or your
They're
forearms?
still bandaged up.
Oh, yeah.
They're still pretty bad. Just because I was doing so much shifting that day, just trying to wake up that arm. So you can't pick it up. So it's literally just
rubbing.
So I'm good now. I mean, I've been back at the gym teaching since Monday, and the rest of the body is fine. It's just staying off elbows. So all my classes, we avoided planking this week.
Good. Well, because pretty much everybody was doing the plank challenge there with you, right?
Yeah. We had over 150 members at one time or another planking. So, and all that money was, every person that signed up to plank with me, the gym donated a chunk of money to Catch a Lift for the fundraiser for the veterans. So we ended up raising $25,000.
Jeez, that's awesome. Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. So Catch a Lift. What exactly is that? What do they do for veterans?
It's a nonprofit started up by a family. Their son ended up dying in Afghanistan. And when he, before he went and served, whenever he was having a bad day, he would go to the gym. And he would always say, I'm going to go catch a lift, like a mood boost. And so that's where the name came from, Catch a Lift, because that's what he would say. But he ended up dying. So in honor of him, they started this nonprofit. And what it does is it will pay for veterans to have free gym memberships.
I love it.
Yeah. And, a lot of them come home and they're pretty messed up, like my neighbor. And, he was a sniper and he came home with a lot of mental issues. And the gym helps that, for a lot of people. It's like, you got control again, or if you're having a trigger or a dark moment, that they find relief there. So I learned about it from him, and it's a national nonprofit that I just learned of. And I think a lot of people don't know about it. So, just bringing that out and making more people aware and raising that money, that was really, really amazing.
That's cool. Our gym is doing a small fundraiser, and we're looking for a veteran organization to contribute to. And that sounds like a great option for us all. I'll have to look into that a little more. 25 grand, that's awesome.
Yeah. Our goal is 5.
Yeah.
Because the gentleman who is my neighbor, the veteran, he's like helping me with my page when I was making it for the event. And he's like, you have to have a goal of money. And I didn't know. We just picked $5,000 for every hour. And then we, did it times 5.
So makes sense. Yeah. That's cool. Well, our gym, I don't know. Did you get a chance to meet Jan Matthews? Probably not. I mean, there's so many people there. Jan, I think, is sisters of the owner of your gym. I think that's what she told me.
Well,
so she told.
Okay. Well, so
I'm here in Decatur.
Partners. So I'm really good friends with the CEO, who is Andy Hogan. And then there's another owner who I met that day who really doesn't come to this location very often. There's 9 Princetons in the state. So he was new to me. But Andy and I, we live on the same lake in our hometown. And I know him and his wife really well. And they have a couple little kids. And so if they're related to the Hogan family, then
potentially.
Yeah.
She told me about this a few weeks, I don't know, it's been a month ago or so, and just because she knew about my attempt and thought I would be interested, and I said, heck yeah, she said she was going up there to do it, and I thought about coming, but I just couldn't because of my schedule. But our gym anyways programmed, everybody did a max plank hold that day, and we had it up, we were watching, and I got 8 minutes, so that's
awesome. That's awesome.
No, it's not. She got 11 minutes up there, which is really, really good. I was impressed.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to try that month-long plank. I'll start with a minute, adding a minute every day.
Yeah, it starts real gentle, and all of a sudden you're like, but my mindset for that was, okay, if you have to do 8 today, you did 7 yesterday. It's just 1 more minute.
Yeah.
Right. 1 more minute.
Yeah. No big deal.
No, not at all.
Well, that was my goal for the day, was 8. And so afterwards, our coach is like, can you keep going? I'm like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
And you were like 78 minutes in by that point. I'm like, no way. But all right, I'm sure you've had this question before, but what sort of diet did you have, and how do you make sure you don't have to stop to go to the bathroom? And
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
what do you do?
Um, so I didn't do any kind of cutting, or I mean, I did go down probably like 7, 8 pounds, but not intentionally. I
Yeah.
think it's just the training, and I eat pretty clean no matter what. So for me, the biggest change was I removed alcohol completely for 4 months.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I took that out, which it wasn't even a lot, but it didn't help me, right? So when I was
No.
getting really long times in my training, I'm like, I have to go next level. I have to, like, something has to give here, and that was what it was. And then I just I've always eaten pretty clean, and so that my diet on a daily really didn't change too much. Just probably avoided the things that were obviously not going to help me.
Mhm.
But didn't count calories, didn't really focus on that, and just the day of, like, the whole bathroom thing, the fact that I started at 9 a.m. and having
Yeah.
been a runner, like, your body just kind of shuts down, like, digestively, like, it just is
Yeah.
like there's so much else going on that it just kind of turns off. So very early on, my body got programmed to just
Okay.
not need to worry about it. Now if I did 9 hours, that could be very different, but 5 hours you
Which
don't
is
have
like,
food, and then you almost get a little nauseous. So
mm,
when I have like 90 minutes left of a 5 hour, as long as I'm not cramping, I really don't want to drink either, because I'm feeling like I could get sick.
mm,
So I haven't, but actually one of the males who broke the record, I don't know if it was the current holder or the one previous, he had to do it. He reattempted because the first
oh,
time he attempted, he was throwing up and he lost form. So
yeah.
it's real.
Oh, and like if you're 7 hours, I know they're at 9.5 hours. It's just the women's blows my mind. And
Yeah,
then to think that men is where they're
double.
at is insane to me. But
Yeah.
to think that maybe he got, say, 7 hours and threw up, who knows? Ugh, that's crazy. Well, yeah, everybody was asking about that. And for my record, I could take breaks and go to the bathroom. And I thought, man, you're just stuck there.
Yeah, yeah. And thinking about you, I mean, motion helps, and that's
Yeah.
one of the hardest things. That's where the mental really needs to kick in, because you're not moving. You have
Oh, yeah.
no physical distraction. It's just in the head's like, we don't have to do this. You got to show up every time, because early on, it's saying no.
Yeah. Yeah. Mine, I think, was way easier.
Well, I wouldn't
Really,
say that.
truthfully,
I would not say that.
100%. I can maybe I could build up to, I don't know. We'll see. I'm not trying to anyways, but I just think
You
that's
have to
crazy.
really
So
want it.
yeah, for sure. Well, that's the thing. All the time it took you,
Yeah.
you know, 5 hour blocks of time just training. That's
Toward the
hard.
end. I did
Yeah,
log
towards
my
it.
hours. I didn't right
Oh,
away, which I regret, but I
yeah.
started a log book in October.
Uh-huh.
So it had already been like, let's just say 6 months of training, or
Okay.
maybe 5. But I had logged in over 300 hours. That's like
Jeez.
just planking, nothing else. So
So yeah, so the Facebook algorithm came across that Donna Jean had said it back in March. So
mhm.
then at what point did you decide? I guess what point did you apply to Guinness? Because you have to apply and then
Yeah, I applied. Well, I found out in October they said yes. So
oh
I
yeah,
had
it's
to
about
have
the timing for me too.
applied in August, probably, when I got up to
Okay.
2 hours. So
Okay.
I've been planking all summer, and I thought, well, if you're almost halfway, it's kind of like running. Like, if you ran a half, you probably can run a full. So
Hmm.
I just thought, let's just see if they say yes. I can still say no,
You don't have to do it. Yeah.
but I
Yep.
knew I wouldn't. I knew me, and I knew I wouldn't. But you gotta go. You gotta try.
Yep. So
So
saw the cameras there, which you got to submit all the because you didn't pay to have someone from Guinness there. I did not. Yeah, it costs so much money.
yeah.
It's
And they
I'd
still
rather have it go
require
to the
you to do the, like, the most expensive things, like the videographer. that still needed to happen anyway. So I
Okay.
thought, I'm not going to pay someone to come,
Yeah.
when we, especially working at the gym and all the physical requirements that it took, for proof of evidence.
Yeah.
It's there. It was pretty easy to get the witnesses, the timekeepers, the
Oh, yeah.
location, the personal trainer needed to be on site. That was all there. So the biggest thing was that video.
Yeah. Have you gotten it submitted already?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, hopefully it won't take too long.
Yeah. They say 12
Um,
weeks.
that's crazy. Unless you pay to expedite, right?
Exactly.
I
You
didn't
can
pay to
have it in
expedite
5
either.
days for $800.
Ah,
Like,
that's okay.
yeah,
That's okay.
like, that's not right.
You said you cut out alcohol, but did you get to have a celebration drink that night?
Yeah. Well,
Ah,
that I did have a little bit that night, but that's the thing too, is you kind of feel like when you're starting to eat and drink again, that took a while. Like, because everything I
uh-huh.
do believe is shut down, so now you got to wake it back up. But I did, so just a little
Yeah. Yeah.
with my
Oh,
family.
man, that was so cool watching it. I assume was your son. I think I saw pictures later, and yeah, it was your son and well, husband or okay. That was really cool to watch them cheering
Mhm.
you on and hugging you there at the end.
Oh
Um,
yeah, they
cool to
just
have that.
turned into little military coaches on for me. I have 3 kids, but yeah, he was the one that he was just that last 10 minutes just in my ear
Yeah,
constantly, and yeah, I needed that. I needed a lot of
yeah.
that.
I was stressed out for you there at the end. Just, I'm sure everybody was just like, "Oh no, please get there!" Like when you could tell that it was really hurt. You couldn't even hear on our end, but
Oh, everybody
you
was crying. Everybody was
oh,
crying. My
oh,
mom was there, and she's like, it's like watching your child drown. She's just like, it's the hardest thing
oh,
to see,
yeah,
because it was just such a hard fight. But I
oh
just
yeah,
was like, I am not quitting. Like, you can't go to 4 hours, 25 minutes, and then no. I'm like,
yeah.
you got to just,
No, that's good. Yep.
if you
So
can.
you said even before this, you were prone to doing challenges, marathons. What else did you say you typically did?
Endurance wise, I think marathons have been my biggest
Okay.
other accomplishment. I did a marathon here in Wisconsin, and just again, it was started by like, can I? And
Yeah.
I worked my way up to it, and then I qualified for Boston, and so then I ran Boston.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. Congratulations. What time is the female qualification for Boston?
Well, at that time I was 40, so
Okay.
I needed to be below 7 minute yeah, sorry, yeah, 7 minutes 7.5 minutes per mile.
Oh,
So I
oh
think
my
I got
gosh.
in like around 7:20, 7:25.
Wow.
And then I ran the Boston. I ran the Boston the year before the bombing.
Jeez.
Yeah. So it was
Wow.
pretty emotional to see the bombing the next year
Yeah.
because it was so still, there for me.
Fresh that experience. Yeah. My gosh.
Yeah.
Well, that's crazy. So you're a really good runner too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've done 2 marathons, and
Okay.
yeah, I
Is the one
have,
you qualified for and then Boston, is it?
yeah.
Wow. I mean, that's pretty awesome though.
Yeah,
Good
and
for
I
you.
did a lot of halves training. When I was
Okay.
getting to the half level, I did the Chicago half and the Minneapolis half, and a Kenosha one, another Wisconsin one. So I did a lot of halves, and I just like to do a lot of variety. So running
Yeah.
is a big thing for me, but then like just in teaching, I teach everything but spin. So I teach yoga. Um, it's nice to have the variety. I don't think my
Yeah.
body was meant to just run. Like, I think I would have
Okay.
major injuries by now if I only did that. So
Yeah.
it's, yeah.
Okay. Well, what's next? Are you doing any new challenges? I'm sure people are asking what else you're gonna do.
Yeah, well, being an instructor, I am looking into getting my health and wellness coaching certification, and
Okay.
whether I use it at the gym or whatnot. But then I'm working on a book as well.
Oh,
So
cool.
yeah, I've got a lot of what I do physically, I push into my professional world, and so I'm medical device sales. Went to school for nursing, and I've been a vice president of a sales team before. I'm currently doing some consulting in the medical device world. So I have a customer out of San Diego right now that I just consult on and get paid per diem. And yeah, that whole mental mindset idea is kind of the topic of my book, and just kind of walking through stories where you need it. And there's times where I've had it, and there's been times where I haven't. And there's lessons there. So that's kind of my next thing that I'm super excited about is
that's cool.
If I can, if I, I didn't plan on that, doing this plank challenge was really just a selfish thing. And then bringing it to the gym and just talking to members all the time about it. And it just became very cool back and forth. Like I was inspiring them, but they were inspiring me, and they had their own stories, and somehow what I was doing helped them get their goals accomplished. So I get a lot of gratitude out of that.
Good. Well, what are some of your favorite mental toughness books that you've read?
I listened to David Goggins when I was training, his latest one.
I love it.
Insane.
Never finished.
Yeah. It's definitely relatable about just where you need the mind and how you can do it, but it's just next level. You just his things he approaches. When he does his challenges, I believe in that. And Tony Robbins, I've done his conferences, full immersion. You're there 16 hours, you're walking over hot coals, you're drinking the Kool-Aid. He's been a big inspiration since he put his maybe first cassette tape out, way back in the 90s, Personal Power. So like I followed him forever. I have a lot of other books in my bookcase that are more professional. Atomic Habits is one that I like.
I love that.
Yeah. And then just some different sales strategies that, either my companies have given me or I've found on my own. So, lately it's been just a lot of motivational listening, because that's kind of more where I've had more time. I love, I read Matthew McConaughey's book, Green Lights. I wasn't impressed with the book, but I am impressed with him. Like if you make him do a commencement speech or something, he's very motivating. I thought the book would be a part of that, and it was more of his life. It really didn't give me any value. So I did read that recently.
It'd be interesting, but not super motivating.
Yeah, I was like, okay, now I know more about him, but how do I apply that to me? I felt that was missing in his book.
Okay.
And then females, Mel Robbins is a big one. I have on her on my podcast, and School Greatness. I listen to that a lot. I just listened to one of his. He's basically a ex-football guy who does interviews, and he interviews people like Colby back in the day and whoever. So his podcast is mainly interviewing inspirational people. So
awesome. That's cool. Well, cool. I'm really impressed with you. It was really cool to be able to watch that, witness it, and see how far I could go while you're
well, it's a huge compliment to have you impressed with all the things that you've been able to accomplish as well. So
thank you.
That's great.
So good deal. Well, keep it up. I hope wish you the best in your Guinness submission, and hopefully they'll not only validate it, but maybe you'll make the book. That'd be kind of neat to get into the book too, right?
I'm excited. I hope they do, and if they don't, I got what I wanted out of it. And more, much more. So
well, you and everybody in your circle knows you beat it. Right. Whether or not they validate it's who knows, technical, whatever things that they could call, but we know you got it. We watched it.
That's right.
So.
For sure. Yeah. Well, thank you for the support. That's the funnest part about all of this is, everyone that's doing something too, and jumping on board, and it's been awesome.
Good deal. All right. No problem. My pleasure. And thanks for jumping on with me here.
Yep. No problem, Tony. Anytime.
All right. Thanks. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.